what do they need to unlock in their brain to realize I can do it?
Yeah, I think it's really letting go of limiting beliefs. I had one client just hit 6 figures. And so.
Wait, 6 figures running real estate arbitrage, Airbnb arbitrage?
Yeah, within a few months.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I just told her what books to read. Actually, one of them was 10X by Grant Cardone. I had to read that, certain chapters, to let go of your fear and not let it stop you. You just have to keep calling. So I think it's really just about people feeling like, I don't know if I can do this. It sounds scary, or no one's going to say yes. It's really the belief that, yes, I will get one. I was telling myself in the beginning, I'm going to get one.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Broadcast Your Authority. And I'm super excited for our next panel of co-hosts. They are all real estate experts in some way or another, which I'm super grateful. And actually, I'm going to have my co-host Shane introduce our next guest. Shane?
Yeah, so I'm honored to honestly introduce the next woman that I met at Beverly Hills at one of the meetings. And then every time I went to a different mastermind or event, she was there. She's an Airbnb Arbitrage expert, and she's the founder of BNB Mastery Society. And I want everyone to put their hands together for Miss Linda Kim.
Let's go. Go.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, so I was grateful because I actually came out to Shane's conference, met you there, and you were talking about this whole Airbnb strategy that I actually had never heard of, because that's just not my area of expertise, but I loved what you were doing. But a little bit of the things that caught my attention when you first stepped onto the stage, I related to you on several pieces from a backstory. One being from Seattle, Washington area, born and raised. We both have like the area code still from the Washington state. But some of the things that you went through, some traumatic times and losses that actually helped you propel you into what you do now. Could you share a little bit more about that backstory?
Yeah. So we were resonating on so many different levels. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I grew up in Seattle, Washington, to parents that were into 9 to 5. And I just did that whole, the standard textbook timeline of, going to college, or, going to college, doing the 9 to 5, getting married, having kids, and just kind of repeating the same cycle that my parents did. But I was in an unhealthy marriage, but I just kind of put up with it because I felt like that was just what you do. And so at one point I felt like when my friend passed away from cancer several years ago, it was a wake up call of, life is not forever, because she was pretty young too. It's not like, we were in our 80s. And
was it 34? Was that the number we did?
Around
there?
Yeah, in her
30s?
like the early 30s. And so, and it came out of nowhere. So I thought, oh my God, this is crazy that, just in a few months she's gone. So I started feeling something in the back of my head, feeling like, is this really, the way I want to live my life forever? And then eventually I ended up leaving the marriage. And then I also, pursued my own business while I was in my 9 to 5, got laid off right after. So there was a lot of losses that led to what was
that? What was that like? I know in life and business, like sometimes you get hit hard kind of fast with different things like boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden you become this resilient person, right? What was that like? And what was that like pivotal moment where you're like, I need to do something else?
Yeah, I feel like there was always something inside that was saying that. But when you're stuck in the same thing for decades, you don't really know what that is and what that even means, because that's all you know is what you know. And I think it was just once I started, therapy actually helped me get a lot of clarity too. But once I knew some things that I had never known, I started witnessing things and behaviors that I was like, oh, this is actually what's happening. So I got a lot of awareness, a newfound awareness that made me realize what's happening. And then I took that and
kind of like an awakening.
Yeah,
like
an awakening.
Like your own, I call it an awakening, but it's like, almost like you have these different things that open and unlock. It's like your inner sense of knowing as well.
Exactly.
It's very powerful.
Exactly. And a lot of answers of, oh, that's what it was. And so I think that really helped me leave. And then after that desire was still there of, okay, I really want to do something more. Because even in my 9 to 5, I was trying to climb the ladder, getting the promotions. And then I run out of, you're at the ceiling, you can't keep going. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, what else can I do outside of this? And that's when I started looking around.
How did you find Airbnb specifically?
Yeah, so I was looking online. I didn't even know what arbitrage was. I was just looking for different ways to make money fast. And obviously that sounds like a gimmick. I was thinking, oh, it's probably not even possible.
You're like, it's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
What's this?
I'm like, what? You can make, he's a multimillionaire off, passive income. That's crazy. But I just looked into it and I talked to him and then I applied for the mentorship, just
Okay.
going off my intuition.
Well,
yeah.
for those of the listeners that might not know what Airbnb arbitrage is, like you're an expert in this space now. Can you share a little bit more about what that looks like?
Yeah, I get so many people saying, I didn't even know you could do that. A lot of people still say that. And so
I said that to you last week.
I've been in real estate for a long time. I'm like, what? You can do that?
I was like, just do it for me, please.
Yeah.
I'm like, here.
Exactly. I get a lot of that too. Can you
Yeah.
just do it for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can rent properties from a landlord that you don't own and put on Airbnb and make the profit, which is sometimes almost 30% more than long-term rentals.
Which is smart.
Yeah. So it's
As long as it's allowed, right?
yes. Yeah. You want to get permission. Some people don't, but I don't recommend that.
So are you like a hardcore negotiator now?
Yeah.
I love negotiations. So.
I know. Yeah, and anyone could do, because I didn't negotiate do sales in my day job, and I was able to get properties. So really anybody can do this.
So you wasn't familiar with real estate at all before you got in.
Yeah, I purchased a home with my ex, but I never was in real estate. I didn't have a license. Yeah, nothing.
Okay, what did your family think whenever you invested into a mentor? What did they think?
Yeah, they actually didn't know. So they didn't know until later. But obviously my friends, I told a couple of people, and they were telling me I'm crazy and to get get the money back and really trying to talk me out of it. And so it affected me a little bit, but I already obviously wired the money, and I felt like, well, I already decided, so I'm just gonna not tell anyone anymore and just go all in. And yeah.
So tell us a little bit, walk us through a little bit about what you do actually through this arbitrage.
Yeah.
Can you walk through some of like the fundamentals, some of the tips, tricks, frameworks that you can apply, or what you teach people?
Yeah. So the process would be, you would go look for, you research the data of the different cities you want to operate. And then once you find those numbers, because you don't just go pick a city because it looks nice. Like, where you don't just say, oh, I want to go to Honolulu. And you don't
What's
just,
the best city in your opinion?
that's a good question. There's actually a lot.
How many? your top three? I don't know. What's your top 3 cities, do you think?
I know it does really well. Well, they said number 1 was Savannah, Georgia. That's what they said on the,
Where I live.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, we know a person.
No.
I'm sure you got connections.
Yeah. And obviously, California does really well, but it's regulated. So you have to find the right spots in California. And then I know it does really well in parts of Arizona as well. It's so.
Oh,
yeah.
hey, I know
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's amazing because there's so many states that you can do it. And then I think you said that in Kauai it is amazing. So I think there's different pockets of.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, you got going as a way to supplement your active income. Like, as you're helping people out there to get going in Airbnb arbitrage, which is phenomenal. I'm still like, wait, you can do that?
Mm-hmm.
But who is best suited to get going in Airbnb arbitrage? And what do you like about this versus most people in the real estate investing world are all about how do you get into deals? How do you take ownership? You're helping people get going that don't need to take ownership. So who do you best serve? And how does this strategy compare with like more typical traditional real estate investing strategies?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of my coaching clients are all over the board, which I really love, because anywhere from 20s to 50s, they're all across the board of age. And then some are 9 to 5, some are in tech, some are married couples that do this together. Some are single moms that are divorced, that are trying to build their own financial freedom. Because if they're, they haven't been in the workforce, you have to go back to school, right? Like, where are you going to go work if you don't have a resume? But you could easily just learn this in 6 weeks and go start your business. And so, stay-at-home parents, it's really all over the board. And entrepreneurs, it's been amazing. And I think the thing that people like is that if they are intimidated with traditional real estate, or they don't have enough capital, it's a very easy way to get into real estate without experience and a lot of capital. And then you could also use this to build your wealth and then start purchasing. And then it gives you so much freedom.
That's one of the things I've always just loved about real estate is this concept of leverage, right? And I think most people, they just default into thinking leverage is borrowing money from a bank. But man, that's the easiest form of leverage. That's just one form of leverage. But man, what you're bringing to the table is this leverage of ingenuity, this leverage of creativity, where you can leverage someone else's ownership and you can come in and arbitrage by connecting two people, right? Connecting the owner of the real estate and someone who wants to live in that real estate for a short period of time. So as you're helping people get going in this world, what do they need to unlock in their brain to realize I can do it?
Yeah, I think it's really letting go of limiting beliefs. I had one client that just hit 6 figures. And so,
wait, 6 figures running real estate arbitrage, Airbnb arbitrage?
yeah, within a few months.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I did too when I was it's fast. It's crazy. So it's very fast. And
I mean, that's legit money. That's life-changing money right there.
Yeah.
What city or area is that particular client have properties in?
Utah, California, and Texas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all spread out. So you can do it anywhere. And yeah. So I was limiting beliefs because she even felt like in the beginning, because you have to call around and pitch and maybe you're not used to that. So I just told her what books to read. Actually, one of them was 10X by Grant Cardone. I had to read that, certain chapters, to let go of your fear and not let it stop you. You just have to keep calling and you'll get your deal if you just keep going. And so I think it's really just about people feeling like, I don't know if I can do this. It sounds scary, or no one's going to say yes. It's really the belief that, yes, I will get one. I was telling myself in the beginning, I'm going to get one.
What do you think what do you see naturally as like the minimum investment for some of your clients that you coach to come in to go into this process? What's like a minimum investment that you've seen?
Oh, for to get into maybe one deal.
Yeah, what their first deal? Like, oh, this is you have to raise huge capital. Like, what's something? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I do single family homes. Some people will do a bunch of apartments. I learned from my mentor to do single family. Larger homes, you make more money. So luxury homes, it doesn't have to be obviously a mansion or anything, but yeah. So I do single family. So typically maybe around $25K, including furniture. So that's first month rent, deposit, and furniture.
So let's say, give us an example. So let's say the lease itself is typically, let's say it's in a decent area and maybe it's $4,000 a month in rent, right? So if they take about, let's say like $19,000, $20,000 in fees, and then up to $20,000, $25,000 added in there with furniture, how fast do they make their return back? And typically, if it's marketed well, which is what you talk about specifically, is the marketing aspect and the way it's staged and everything like that. That's what's going to sell at those higher rate packages. So I think you told a story once where it was like, oh, someone had like an example of like 4,000, but then the next month they generated 9,000 back, right? So that actually would return back rather quickly. Is that typically what you see?
Yeah. If you do it right from the get-go, you design it well, you're in the right area, you did all your homework, you can get it back pretty quickly. Anywhere from probably 4 to 8 months on the later end. So you make it back very fast compared to other strategies as well. And a lot of people will also leverage credit or credit cards to get furniture. So if you do that, you're really only paying out of pocket first and last month rent. So yeah.
Linda, I love what you're doing. It's super cool. What I loved is that you went out and sought a mentor, especially when you needed one. And now you're paying it forward and you've become a mentor. What are some things that you do, I think, that maybe separate you or from others that teach real estate, Airbnb or otherwise, that you do, that somebody who came to you and said, hey, Linda, this is a cool idea. I'd like your mentorship. What are some things that you do that help distinguish you, or lessons that you've learned to help distinguish you that I could receive as as one of your mentees? So.
Yeah, so I would say design is one of the biggest things that drives my profits higher, and a lot of mentors don't teach that. I actually don't know if any do that I know of, and so I focus on teaching obviously the whole strategy, but also emphasizing design of how to design it. Because if you have a great property in a great area, but it's not designed well, then it's probably not going to do as well as
you're
think.
saying interior design, how the house is laid out, the furniture, the look and feel. Is that
exactly?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, even the marketing and the photography, right?
Yes. Yeah,
that's
too.
Probably one of the biggest things. Whenever I go through like Airbnb or anything, like I go right for the luxe properties. I'm like, where am I going? What has the pool? What has a spa? Does it have a sauna? What is it looking for, right? So, but it's the photos that I'm like, they actually took the time to market it effectively and have these beautiful photos. They actually hired a photographer to come come in and do so versus I'm looking at some stuff like, okay, that was taken with a cell phone. That's overexposed. Yeah, no, next, So I think that's one of the biggest things, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because you could even have a nice place, but if you don't photograph it well, then people don't know that from looking at it. So so I would say that, and also automated systems. I had someone come to me to inquire about my coaching program recently, and they had taken another mentor's coaching program, and they're like, oh, we haven't gotten anything in almost 6 months now. So now they're trying to hire another mentor, and they were coming to me because they didn't learn the automated system either. So I don't think they learned how to pitch and negotiate correctly, and then they didn't learn how to automate the system. So it kind of blew my mind that the whole point of this is to have passive income. So if you're not automating, you can't make it passive. So yeah.
There are a few things, owning a couple short-term rentals myself. I know there's a number of concerns that people voice to me, in this space. And I'm sure you probably get it. Seasonality is one, or how do I protect against that guest who's going to just, throw a rager, those are a couple things that I know we run across. What happens? How do you address maybe just what are 1 or 2, 3 of those things that you run across, and how do you address those?
To the landlord?
Yeah. Well, landlord and to the, to your, the people you're teaching and training, because I'm sure they're concerned about too, right? I love Seattle. I grew up in Spokane, by the way.
Oh, hey, Washington Staters.
Yeah, Washington State. Love Seattle, but it's probably fairly seasonal, Seattle is. And so is that a market you would say, hey, I'm not recommending arbitrage here in Seattle? Or, hey, yeah, here's how we would do that. Those are the kinds of things I'm wondering.
Yeah, so that's part of the whole research part of the program, that you're going to go learn how to look up all the data, because it tells you everything from occupancy for all the small towns that you're looking at. Yeah. I have heard someone, I don't know, maybe they didn't set up properly, but they just said their experience in Seattle wasn't that great because of seasonality. So I teach you how to do that, and then advise, okay, maybe you shouldn't go there. You can pick a different place. And then the rager thing is we market that to the landlord that we don't do one night bookings, because that's typically what party people want. They just want one night on a weekend, on a Saturday. So there's a strategy around how to book it so you're not taking those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Oh, I love that. So people can work with you in different capacities. So you got coaching, you got courses. I know you have a beautiful website that you sent over the other day. I was like, oh, this is great. I love that. Could you share with our audience, like, how they can connect with you, like what your next steps are, how they can take action to work with you?
Yeah. So I have my coaching website on www.bnbmasterysociety.com. And I'm also on social media, Instagram, Linda Kim with 2 I's in Linda. And then also on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, everything under Linda Kim.
Oh, there you have it. She's everywhere. And we'll be sure to put all that in the show notes. I just want to say thank you, Linda, for coming and joining us on Broadcast Your Authority. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much.
And it was great to hear like your methods and stuff like that, because it was very new to me as well. And I was like, this is interesting. So, but yes, thank you again. And those of you who are watching, be sure to subscribe to Broadcast Your Authority. Go to broadcastyourauthority.com to see what we're up to with our content marketing agency, as well as leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, and we'll see you in the next episode.